Thieves. Team Liquid gonna ban out the Jace, the Renekton, the Azir. Kaisa is up, Tristana is up. Fun fact, the two champions that we've seen traded back and forth in the two previous games are Ksante and Tristana. Ksante has lost both games, Tristana has won both games.
Well, they're gonna go Kaisa, so it's likely gonna be an APA Tristana grabbed up here as the answer.
I'd love like a Trist Rell here could be good.
Yeah, I think Trist Rell is strong. I think you can also, go like Rakan a Trist or Xayah Trist, if you wanted. If you do go Xayah Trist though, part of the problem with these double AD carry styles, if you don't have the Kaisa, is that you do become very heavily AD. But honestly, not a lot of teams are playing super tanks anymore, so like, it hasn't really been that relevant when it comes out.
The Rell being the big flex pick, giving up Kaisa Rell gives the other team so many engaging teamfight options is what 100 Thieves somehow managed to get last game on red side. I mean, I would say, thinking back, it's kind of shocking that they got both. They might get both again if they end up locking this Nautilus.
Yeah, that would be really interesting if their read is that the Nautilus is actually the more important component for how 100 Thieves played. I will say, Closer did not have the greatest game one on the Rell. So they're saying, hey, if we make Closer the only engage again, maybe he's not going to be able to make it happen. But I do think 100 Thieves are likely going to do a similar draft to what they did last game, where they draft multiple forms of engage. I don't think they're going to be relying on only the Rell. The question is, can you slot something else in for the Tristana that fits a similar role? This is very different.
Okay.
It also makes me wonder, are they going to draft more physical damage and go for more of like a physical damage carry top, or is it going to be AD Kaisa?
I think it's going to be Rell support. I think because the Ahri is mid, it's too much. I don't think they can do Ahri AP Kaisa. I think
if you go like
AP Kaisa,
if you go Ahri and Rell jungle and then you go Ornn top or something, you just build Merc Treads and you kind of laugh, right? Like,
yeah.
So I think
that's locked, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
APA, it's left up. This is actually really exciting. He did get to play one Cassio game in the split. It was a pretty strong performance, but in a loss, if I'm recalling correctly. But this is one of the picks that he is really well known for. It is his most played this year, and all time it is his third most played, but he has an almost 77% win rate on it, 13 games played. So it is, you could say it's his most successful champion. TF he has 100% win rate on, but it's only a couple games, so we're not really going to count that.
Yeah.
But this is one of the picks that he's really well known for, and I'm excited to see what he can make happen. I will say the miasma against a lot of dash champions here is going to be very annoying.
Yeah, very powerful against Ahri. I like the Viego ban from TL. They're having the same read that you guys are, saying I don't think it's jungle Rell this time around just because of what that would mean for the composition and how easy it is to build the Merc Treads. Yeah, that's what I would do. Ban the Lee Sin. Make Closer uncomfortable. Make it so he's like, well, maybe I should play the Rell. I like the fact that they also just locked in the Cassio nice and early after seeing the enemy mid lane pick because they know that APA will get targeted.
And in game one, they actually double banned Closer's jungle after they first rotationed the Rell as well. But in that game, they were banning out tank and engage junglers. In this game, I think you just ban the physical damage junglers because, again, we're talking about they're too AP heavy, right? So you just ban Viego, you ban Lee Sin. If it was going to be a flex down towards bot side and you were going to bring in a physical damage jungle, this is limiting the options. You can still go to like Wukong and stuff that have fallen more out of favor, but...
You could go to Vi. It's Vi Ahri. That's the classic combo. It's one of those things.
I feel like they're daring you to do it, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they pretty much are daring you to do it, but at least you do have an enemy mid laner who is non-mobile in Cassiopeia. You could go for the Vi Ahri combo, just try to make that happen, but I'm honestly pretty much just expecting that for 100 Thieves at this point. Kennen, last ban for them.
I'm also really interested to see, is this going to be Pyosik playing the Nautilus? That's kind of my feeling, is that it's going to be a Nautilus for Pyosik, and we might see something flexed around. He was one of the guys who had played it, so... it hasn't really been played jungle a lot, but I do think, when you want to play aggressive, when you want to play early game, it can really fit that style. So it is going to be...
Okay. Yes. Sure.
Okay, Taric's support. Taric is getting actually, I think, really strong in solo queue. This is, I think, a really underrated pick. Now I just wonder, are they doing something super crazy and like sending Tristana to top? Are they going to get really wild with it? I'm still expecting it to be 5th pick, top lane counter pick here for Summit. But, there can be a lot of power when you're playing with aggressive picks here and the Taric ult. When it's used aggressively, I think it's way better. So Cassio's fairly mid-range, but you put Cassio and you strap the ultimate to her, you get her aggressive, you're going things like Stone Plate and Rylai's pseudo-tanky builds, and you kind of just throw that Cassio in there. Tristana can also jump forward with the stun and with that as well. It also pairs really well with the Nautilus. Nautilus gets Bastion. You do the Dazzle, I believe it is the stun off of those hooks. So there's lots of little kind of cool ways that you can play this out.
And I will also say, the Taric will block the Vi as well, so maybe 100 Thieves was thinking that they'd go harder engage with the Vi. Now I think DoubleLift probably just builds AD. Not the worst thing in the world if they want to diversify their damage a little bit more, but 2 picks here from Team Liquid that are well outside the standard meta.
Yeah, and it's going to be Fiora for Summit, so... I mean, if I'm Someday, I'm actually pretty scared this game because you got 5th counterpicked by the Fiora. You know, he had a blind. He's on the Ksante, but it's also paired with a really strong ganking jungler in the Nautilus. So I would not be surprised to see a lot of attention up towards topside. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how this 2v2 matchup should go in bot lane. It's just not something we've seen a lot at the pro level. But I do think, you know, in my experience playing a lot of Taric and seeing it in solo queue, if you can get through the early stages, it is a monster in the team fights. You have so much value compared to a lot of traditional supports if you get a good value ultimate. And also, the Baron takes with Taric are absolutely unreal. You take no damage because you Q, auto, Q, auto, infinity. Cassio, Trist, Taric can 3-man that Baron at 20 minutes without taking any damage.
Taric, man, it has been a little while since I got to enjoy this champion in team fights and 5v5s. It's all about the ultimate.
Liquid is bringing this out now in CoreJJ versus DoubleLift because in my memory, the last time Taric was popular was Sona Taric. And you know who the best Sona Taric team was? It was Team Liquid with CoreJJ and DoubleLift. So it's actually a little bit less surprising to DoubleLift because if he remembers how CoreJJ wants to play Taric, it'll be a level of familiarity that other AD carries wouldn't have.
Also, this is not just the first Taric pick in the LCS this split. If you look at major regions, it's the first Taric pick, period. Anywhere in those top 4 major regions has not been picked or banned a single time across LPL, LCK, LEC, or LCS. So it is very niche, and I'm going to be excited to see how it actually works out.
See, I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say without checking because otherwise I would have like some like G2 or T1 profile pictures yelling at me on Twitter, so I had to be careful about that one. But Team Liquid with the Taric and the Cassiopeia in mid lane for APA. I want to see if 100 Thieves have the solution, have the solve versus this. Again, there's the issue of do they have enough physical damage if DoubleLift goes for the AP Kaisa build again?
So he is going to be going Glacial Augment as well on the Taric. It is not going to be Guardian. You know, those are the 2 options that I generally see. Guardian kind of more defensive. Obviously, if you hit the stun with the Dazzle, then Glacial Augment does have a lot of value there. They're playing very defensive summoners kind of as expected. It's heal cleanse for their bot lane. I expect them to not really be looking to fight as much. It's more just about surviving, getting value from your scaling. With DoubleLift going Hail of Blades, that generally does lend itself towards those more AP styles, but he's not actually starting Longsword. He's going to go D-Blade, so I'll be interested to see where he goes. And there are a lot of different options. You can go like Navori AD, you can go Shiv into Navori, you can go Shiv into, obviously, the more standard builds that we see into AP, so interested to see where he takes it.
Still going to be tracking Pyosik on this Nautilus as well. Going back to what you mentioned during the draft, I think it's a really big point of concern for 100 Thieves and for Someday is if Pyosik decides to commit to this, does Summit become 1v9 split push raid boss and find a win condition through that? Again, Ksante is the champion that has lost both games so far in this series, played by either side.
It's also worth pointing out there was one Fiora game from Summit. It was actually against Energy, and I remember this game where they hard camped top lane. It was Pyosik playing. Oh, as we're gonna see a flash, not gonna find it. It was hard camped top lane, got someone into a massive advantage. Someone even built Hullbreaker, and then decided to 5v5, and they actually lost that game. So TL has to show us that they can close out games for split push as well.
And that game was also Harry's last game on TL main.
Oh, good point.
So after that, APA was subbed in. So it was Fiora, Akali. Their team fighting was atrocious. I'd say their team fighting overall is a little better here. It's like a 4 strong core team fighters with the Fiora rather than this whole flanking team. But I completely agree. We know Summit can play the Fiora in lane, but can Team Liquid play with Summit in team fights?
Exactly. I mean, even in a lot of these circumstances, we saw the Monster Jax game from Summit last week where he had that huge carry performance. He even goes Hullbreaker in that and then ends up team fighting, right? So there's a lot of these situations where it feels like he's building Hullbreaker saying, okay, I want to only split push, but then I don't know if it's him making the decision or TL is saying, okay, we can't close this way, you need to group. So it seems to be kind of split ideas on how to actually play that out. I do think Taric adds a pretty interesting wrinkle to how you can 5v5 though as a Fiora. Because again, you know, you can use this aggressively. You can start it out if you get that dazzle stun on someone from the Fiora, get an ult on the Fiora. yeah, you're squishy, but not with a Taric ultimate, and you give him a little bit of time, you can even use that ultimate to focus down someone like a frontliner, utilize the true damage, and get that first kill and reset and fight.
Yeah, I would say though, like my theory crafting brain is that you just don't team fight with Fiora. The Cassio Taric will be...
Liquid always team fights.
But literally, no, you just team fight with 4. Like, you're going to be so strong with Cassio Taric, like, starting an objective. If they fly in on you, you might even win a 4v5, and someone can just hull break or split push all day long.
I agree with you. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think he's going to group, because he always groups.
Yep.
Like, I agree with you. I think in a lot of those cases, like the energy game that I was referencing, really nice buffer on the hook there from Pyosik. The energy game that I was referencing, I think they would have won for sure if he just hard committed the split push. You know, he was taking towers in the face of his opponent. He was in such a great spot, but they elected a 5v5 over by Baron. So it has just been the TL kind of recipe is that they create leads in the side lane and then they use it to try to 5v5. So we'll see how TL wants to play this out. You know, if someone can get ahead, that's step 1. And step 2 is what do they want to do with that? How do they use that to kind of carry that lead forward into a victory?
Well, the lane state's not too happy for Someday right now, as Summit is keeping the wave kind of right where he wants it, continuing to just farm up effectively here. Someday trying to trade back with the Intofo strikes. You can see Closer is hanging around nearby, but again, Rell is one of those champions. Her CC is so telegraphed, it's still on dial-up internet. If Fiora fails to repost Crashdown, like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to find success here against the Fiora with the gank.
Yeah, it can be really tough. You have to get clever. You have to look for Q flashes and things like that they maybe can't react to, but it is really unlikely that they're going to be able to find a play there. Likely Closer was kind of just sitting around to see A, if someone would overcommit, or B, if he can actually cover Pyosik, you know, making some sort of a play up there. We know that Pyosik is down on bottom side though. And it's actually pinging on towards the Dragon because they do have push here. So looking to start this up, you know, you talked about it, Jatt, the power that Taric has around Baron. Same is true here around these neutral objectives on the bot side. You get 2 passive autos there. It actually does a significant amount of damage, and it resets the cooldown on your heal. So as long as you're able to get that off, you just can continue going. And he's also going for the build that I really like, which is the tier build. It is very, very greedy. But, you know, if you're not punished in lane and you go this style, then you could actually get a tremendous use out of that passive and those autos for spamming out heals in the 5v5s. Because if you don't go for that build, you actually can't really maintain enough mana to spam out those Qs in fights for very long. Because his mana costs are actually really, really high.
Well, they've secured the Dragon very early for themselves. 6.5 minutes in. Mountain Drake for TL. Jatt, you mentioned how it's one of those really good early ones. APA now going to be forced to flash away as Closer makes an entrance here into mid. Didn't have to commit his own flash. Just the Shattering Strike was enough to scare APA back.
Yeah, and having Ahri level 6, that's a very dangerous mid lane for APA at the moment. I really do like the way this Team Liquid composition seems to be coming together. That's why Azael and I have probably spent the last 6 minutes talking about it.
It's fun to talk about new stuff too, right?
It's unique, and they have 3 like really hard carries and 2 really supportive members in the Nautilus and the Taric, so they can split up the map farm very well. But with that being said, like, there's still weaknesses to attack, and if 100 Thieves can get something here, it will be huge.
Closer's coming in. Yeon already using that rocket jump to get away means that 100 Thieves will not lock anybody down. Team Liquid can disengage that without committing any summoner spells, but 100 didn't spend any of theirs either, so unfortunately for them, just doesn't result in a whole lot from Closer unless they go for the dive now to follow it up.
There's no rocket jump, remember, on Yeon likely. It's a long cooldown early on, so I think they're going to try to force this, but he does have cleanse and flash, and there's heal on core, so this is really hard to make happen, I think.
All right, let's see if they can do it. They want to go in. Busio going in for the engages. CoreJJ is now going to be charmed up. They're going to turn the focus back onto him, but the dive does not work. Team Liquid using the cleanse and the heal. They don't even have to spend a flash. 100 Thieves dive fails.
I don't even know how Busio got 6 before everyone else there, so must have caught a little bit more XP. He goes 6. He just got 6 off the last minion, so I think that's why they made that call. That's why they went aggressive. At the end of the day, does force out the cleanse and the heal, so not bad.
But then the fact that Yeon was able to buffer his rocket jump and escape, now Core and Yeon are both level 6. They won't be able to dive that for a long while. And Team Liquid, knowing that the bunch of stuff just got burned bottom, turn for Rift Herald. I think a really good series of events for Team Liquid.
Yeah, TL's loving this one. They're up a very small amount of gold, but that is about to spike once they acquire this Herald. Again, nobody from the side of 100 Thieves nearby to be able to contest this one as Yeon and CoreJJ are walking their way up. Quid with a charm onto Yeon, but it ain't going to do a whole lot. That Spirit Rush being used means he's just going to spend the last couple of charges however he can as the Eye is secured by Pyosik.
And that was actually really huge for Yeon and CoreJJ. It doesn't look like much, but getting the Ahri ult to be expended there when APA is flashing flashless as the Cassio in mid lane is huge. It bails him out of that lane. So not only did Yeon and Core absorb that dive bottom lane to relieve some pressure, they also were able to relieve pressure in the mid lane. Massive play.
Back up top side, let's check in on how Someday is surviving the Fiora situation. 63 farm compared to the 83, and he's even got more minions alive too, so that's only going to get worse as Summit farms up some of these. But again, it's kind of expected. It's Fiora versus a tank. That's the way these matchups go.
It's also interesting to know, APA, the build that he went for, you grabbed an early Giant spell here, so obviously that can be used for Demonic Embrace or Rylai's, most likely later on. It's going to delay his Mythic, but I actually like making that kind of a pit stop when you're already going tier start and you're down your flash, as you called out, right? Because that can help to keep him safe. TL, we're looking for an angle on that dive, but 100 Thieves are here to match.
It's a slap fight, man.
Yeah, it's a meatball battle. It's Pyosik and CoreJJ. Between the two of them, they do about 30 damage.
But they got the flash from Closer. Closer got scared there as APA came over, so I think he was nervous that he might get locked down and then ulted by APA and burst down. So at the end of the day, TL, look for that little excursion. Try to look for a potential wraparound gank on Quid, who was missing his ulti. And they get the flash from Closer for it, so well done.
Busio and DoubleLift. Does Busio want to go in for something here? Yes, he does. Grand Entrance going to find a quick knock-up onto Yeon. DoubleLift not going to get the full plasma proc there, but easy trade for them. CoreJJ, of course, can heal this back up pretty easily.
Yeah.
There you go. Another one of those comes out.
It's looking like so far the Taric surprise is really working out for Team Liquid. 100 Thieves tried really hard for that dive early. It was repelled. I feel like they've burned a lot of really good spells just by like rocket jumping forward with the Taric E. They got the DoubleLift cleanse bottom, they got the Quid ult in mid, they even got the Closer flash in jungle. So yeah, really effective early game, even though it's 0-0 for Team Liquid, because I feel like the team fighting when this team actually comes together later game is going to be very strong.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And they just let the Herald crash in mid, so APA gets some more gold. It's already 25 CS lead up in top lane for Summit, so he is doing very well in the isolated 1v1, as we always expect from this guy. He is just ridiculous in those 1v1s. It's almost kind of a meme at this point where it's just like everyone just expects it, so he doesn't get the credit for it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, standard 30 CS lead there for Summit up in the top lane, right?
Yeah, that's just what Summit does. Yeah, he just up, 300 gold that can kill every lane.
Well, I've got a lot of guys from both sides here jockeying for position around this bottom side river, looking at mid. Both mid laners did take a chunk of damage there. Quid hit the charm, and APA got him stuck in the miasma. And that miasma is a serious problem for the Ahri, because if you ever dash in and you don't hit the charm, and she immediately miasmas on top of you, following it up with more spirit rushes is impossible. The
other thing I would say is I really love guaranteed CC as combos with Cassio. So when you're playing something like Nautilus, you throw down the Nautilus ultimate. As soon as the depth charge lands, throw miasma on it.
Flash hook coming in from Pyosik. DoubleLift is the target. He tries to Killer Instinct back over to the other side of the Team Liquid jungler so he can flash over the wall and complete the escape. But it's both Sums and the ulti from 100 Thieves Marksman, and that means Team Liquid feels confident starting up their second Drake of the game.
Yeah, they're going to take an easy dragon, and he almost had that combo happen to him as he had to actually Killer Instinct. He was at the fattest part of the wall, so he couldn't flash there. So he had to Killer Instinct to a skinnier part of the wall, then flash over. But if that miasma catches you, it's nothing you can really do to react. So we'll see if they can pull off that combo later. But guaranteed CC into the miasma, you're locked in there, you can't flash, you can't dash, there's no escape. It is one of the most frustrating things to actually deal with when you are playing these mobile champions and really used to being able to jump forward and jump back.
And grounded itself as a mechanic is so rare in League of Legends. Singed Goo has it, Cassiopeia Poison has it. There's not a lot of champions that can apply it, and it's one of those things similar to like Suppression.
And Silence.
Yeah, that when you play against them, they're so impactful, but they're also so rare, they can easily fall into the back of your mind, and it's much easier to be caught off guard.
Yep.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, even though this is a very low action early game, it does feel like 100 Thieves need to make something happen. They're already down 2 Drakes to 0. DoubleLift is not accelerated like he was in the last game on Kaisa, so he's been playing a very good series, did a good job to escape from that gank, but there's just nowhere that it seems like they're able to play through. They tried to stack away bottom, didn't work. They got APA's flash early, but then that was easily countered when Quid burned his ultimate. They're definitely not doing something to the Divine Sunder or Fiora top lane. You go up there, probably 1v2s.
Yeah.
So Team Liquid, I think, is really just going to play an objective game. It doesn't need to be flashy to be effective, which is very different than how Team Liquid has played for so much of this split. But they're already at 2 Drakes. They have the Taric. I can see him just grouping up in 3.5 minutes for the next Cloud, grouping up around Baron at 20 minutes, and just like playing the game out very safely.
Absolutely. I mean, I do think that's one of the big differences of having the Tristana versus having the Ahri, right? Is they can't just afford to sit back. They don't have kind of guaranteed scaling. You have the Ksante instead of the Ornn. So it is going to be more difficult, I think, for them to just kind of play it passively, play it slowly. And we'll see if they can find anything, because I feel like at this next Dragon fight, they're going to have to look to fight, and Quid's going to have a really good fight on the Ahri.
And the game being 0-0 tells you it's slow, but even more evidence for just how slowed down the pace of this is. Plates just faded. It's 4 plates to 1. TL lost a single plate. They managed to only take 4 from their opponents. That is a very low overall plate amount for 14 minutes of gameplay.
Also worth noting, APA now has that Rylai's, so he's actually just sitting on the Lost Chapter plus the tier for his mana problems, has that early Rylai's. It's really powerful in the Cassio. You connect with any spell, you're going to get the slowdown. You can even use Twin Fangs to set up for your Q to be able to kind of get that guaranteed hit as you get the slow from your E now with Rylai's. So it's really effective with kiting and with chasing people down. But 100 Thieves on top side, they're starting up this Herald. Someone is basing and has no TP, so it is going to be a free Herald, but they're going to trade it for the solo tower gold on the bot side for Yeon. So again, I do favor what TL have gotten. They get guaranteed gold here. They're going to take away what looked like the Raptors, and they're even going to be able to set up potentially more vision on this bot side.
So coming into the series, we showed how Closer's been very ineffective in the early game. He's been a participant in 1 first blood the entire summer split.
Yes.
The good news is, still no first blood this game. So he could double it up. He can still double that number up in a way to come back in this game. You never know. You never know,
This is
Flowers.
like Jatt's used car salesman arc.
Yeah, really.
It's 16 minutes in the game. It's 0-0.
You're selling, but I'm not buying.
Yeah, that seems like a lemon to me, man.
Yeah.
There's like a hole in the gas tank or something.
Exactly.
I don't really know exactly
The
what
seats are rotted through.
But it still turns on.
Well,
But it is a car.
it takes at least 16 minutes to do so.
You can drive it home today.
And you'll probably get most of the way there. All right, Closer and the rest of 100 Thieves and the rest of Team Liquid. This is a PvP video game, but nobody's embracing that here today. Quid getting jumped on there by Summit. Nice job using the riposte to guarantee that it doesn't get locked down by the Everfrost. But yeah, man, both teams are just so content. Letting the clock tick forward.
I like how someone was playing aggressive there. I think what he's trying to do is force out the ult from the Ahri prior to this Dragon fight here. That is up in 45. And it's something that is really underrated, but if you can force fights that are advantageous prior to objectives, you can take important cooldowns from your opponents and you can prevent them from being able to actually fight you properly at that objective.
Completely agree, and they're kind of keeping Quid in the top lane. If they can keep him from having a good setup, it's just very difficult for anyone to realistically get in for 100 Thieves. Like, you could say, hey, Closer, fly in, but I just don't think right now 100 Thieves has the burst damage to kill anyone before the Taric ult comes down, which is part of the reason I think this game is in such a stalled state. 100 Thieves thinks if they go in, they're just going to int, and Team Liquid says, well, we already got 2 Drakes. We don't need to go in. Why int? Let's just get the Dragon Soul.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a pure tank support jungler. You've got Ksante with 1 item. Everfrost Ahri. The damage on 100 Thieves is very, very, very low. Bursting through Cosmic Radiance feels just entirely impossible.
And it is worth noting, DoubleLift is going towards the AP Kaisa build, so he is going to be going AP. So I do think TL are going to start stacking Merc Tread, stacking that up. Someone is already TP'd here. They are going to get the charge, but not more than that.
Dredgeline comes in, Summit with a nice riposte, making sure that he doesn't get caught out here as Team Liquid, the rest of them at least, were dealing with the Herald. So that's taken care of. The Drake has spawned. It's Team Liquid with control over the bottom side river and the entrance to it. Pyosik going fishing there with the Dredgeline, but he doesn't find DoubleLift. 100 Thieves just trying to shove these waves out. Team Liquid doing the same. I'm just waiting for the explosive engage from one side or the other.
I don't think 100 Thieves, I think they're just going to end up giving this up potentially, because I don't think they can actually get in. They're just getting harassed so heavily. Unless they are willing to make like a full commit flash play, AP is just harassing them on the side.
Pyosik has
gone in. He's all out looking for the enemy mid laner as APA's been caught, but the Cosmic Radiance keeps him alive now. Closer off to the side, just dies. First blood over to the side of Team Liquid of the AD carry. DoubleLift going into the back. He won't be able to find APA. Instead, he's going to get burst down next. Dredgeline finds him, and TL buries him. 100 Thieves tried to go, and 100 Thieves got.
And that's the best look they're gonna get. You can see exactly why they'd been so hesitant. Closer goes in, they try and 100 to 0 APA, they do not before the Taric ult lands, and then guess what? You're now Fiora ulted and the fight is over. So Closer tries to go in, gets completely shut down, and Team Liquid take even stronger control of the game.
Yeah, that's a difficulty, and that's why I thought they were going to just back off, because they, everyone approaching from one side is going to be so difficult to make it work. APA was harassing them as they come in, and they make the call, you know, we're going to flash for this play. But where's the damage from Quid? It has to be already landing. It is not there just yet until just now. The charm does connect, but then the ulti is landed, and watch as DoubleLift goes for the killer instinct in the backline. Yeah. But the Bastion is there from CoreJJ. He's in the Fiora ult, and DoubleLift is not able to burst him down. So there's the Bastion. The heal had already come out. Not enough damage to finish him off. Yeah, APA ults in the wrong direction. Doesn't matter. Fight is won. I couldn't believe Pyosik kept throwing out those hooks as well. Like, I'm thinking for 100 Thieves, just wait for one to land, but they're going for more.
100 Thieves want the dive now. The tier 1 turret's still standing, but just barely. But it stands long enough to make sure that 100 Thieves aren't going to get what they came for. They'll at least force down the turret, but no kills to follow.
It's feeling pretty doomed. That
looking tough.
I actually like that play, trying to make a quick play before Team Liquid is set up, but DoubleLift, the time for him to get to 3-item Kaisa is it's not there.
Yeah, it's very pushed back, and now they're just going to start up the Baron because
this
they have
is the Taric.
Yeah, you just continue autoing, you continue using that passive heal back up. They're onto it, and they're going to be probably finishing it.
They don't take damage.
Yeah, 100 Thieves jungler has 1/3 HP. Team Liquid is not afraid of this. Quid jumps in, finds a charm into CoreJJ, but he won't be able to kill him. The Cosmic Radiance is not ready. Void Seeker flies out. Quid dropping the Everfrost, but now he has to get back away from Yeon. The depth charge follows him, but Busio's ready to peel. Summit off to the side now, going to be tanking up 3 as someday Closer and DoubleLift all chase him down. Summit just continuing to use the lunge to get himself out here, as Closer will not be able to close the distance. Summit saves the Summoner spell.
It's also worth noting DoubleLift is actually going Luden second, so he's going towards you know, an early poke mythic here, and I think his read is we can't win all in, so I've just got to try to find some way to contribute. And his read is that it's going to be through poke.
Well, the thing is, remember, if we're going back and comparing this to the previous game, at this point in the previous game, DoubleLift was hitting that 3-item power spike now, whereas in this one, you said it, Isaac, he's still working towards the second item, so very, very different game state compared to what we saw work for 100 Thieves to find the win in the previous one. Team Liquid up about 2,500 overall. They're on soul point. Not a single Drake has been claimed by 100 Thieves, and here in 3 minutes, the Thieves are going to have to either fight again for that Drake, which is so damn hard to do, or they just give it away.
It is really tough, and this build for DoubleLift is a lot lower DPS. You know, people always go, you know, 4 attack speed seconds so they can get the supercharge upgrade. You know, he's not going to have the evolved D, he's not going to have that evolved Q. It will be that early W, and it will be all about poke, so it's going to be way lower on attack speed as a result without going towards Nasher second, which is pretty much what everyone does. So we'll see how much poke he can land. It is going to be fairly effective, but Core has healing. You know, Yeon is going to build towards lifesteal. So Pyosik's not really going to care. So the targets are kind of few and far between that you can hit that really matter.
Yeah, I still like the play though. Just hoping that you land enough onto Yeon that maybe you can have them back off before a Cloud Drake. I think Team Liquid's going to keep trying to pressure on this Baron. Weirdly enough, 100 Thieves' like best chance is if they can get Team Liquid to start Baron again. Because it feels like if they just wait a little longer, get to Cloud Soul, and then go around Baron and just peel with all the extra move speed, that Team Liquid's going to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you either hoping that they're going to throw up Baron, or you're hoping that you can start to kill Summit off in the side lane. But they just don't really have the chance to do it in this game. So that is the big problem, is that you have tank top, you have the tank jungler, you have this kind of AP build on Quid, where he doesn't have enough burst to even threaten him. So it's like, how does Summit ever die in a side lane when DoubleLift's not there? And I just don't think it ever really happens. No. And if you have to commit 3 people, then you're going to take a free Baron on the top side, even if you do kill him.
Exactly.
So this is one of those situations where 100 Thieves draft is just not really suited to punish one of the weaknesses of TL, which is those isolated deaths that Summit often has.
100 Thieves is trapped. They're trapped in this game. They don't have any good options. They just have to pray.
We've talked about the Kaisa build being lower on overall DPS. Ahri's second item is a Banshee's Veil. Rell's second item is a Knight's Vow. None of these items are going to burst through a Cosmic Radiance. I just feel like 100 Thieves is tasked with something that can only be done if TL just go complete goofy approach to the fight.
You're playing a two-threat comp, and your mid laner has Everfrost, Banshees, CDR boots, and an Oblivion Orb, right? It's not a lot of damage for the gold. DoubleLift is not ahead like he was last time. You're almost a one-threat comp, which is going to be really, really tough.
Listen, I will say, Team Liquid has not been good at closing games.
True.
So 100 Thieves, they're trying something spicy here. Instead of just waiting around for the Cloud Soul, they're just going to try a fast Baron. Let's see how Team Liquid responds.
They get the TP at least, but now they got to leave, I think. Busio is setting up on the flank, though. Are they going to commit? I think they are.
Yeah, Team Liquid coming up for this. They use the Scryer's Trinket to find it. This Baron dies so slowly. 100 Thieves damage is not there. Team Liquid making their way up. Busio's been spotted, so they don't have the element of surprise anymore. 100 Thieves still on the Baron. Got it down to about 4,500. Pyosik still thinking about stepping up. APA has found Busio, has to pop the quickness just to try to get himself away as Quid takes a chunk. Massive engage coming out from closer, but nobody's there to follow up. They immediately pop the Cosmic Radiance. DoubleLift jumps back into his own death, and Yeon takes the kill. Summit's going after Someday. Team Liquid had no troubles with this one.
Checkmate. TL have answered everything 100 Thieves could do. I don't even mind 100 Thieves flipping this Baron, because I think this game was so doomed. I don't think their draft has anything to deal with what TL has brought out. I think TL were really intelligent about how they drafted, about how they have played out this game. There's no answer to the side lane. There's no answer to the 5v5. There's really nothing happening here for 100 Thieves, so they go for a Baron flip. It does not work out, and now TL should be able to grab Soul, should be able to take everything.
And I just like how slow they play this. They know the Baron doesn't die quickly. APA finds Busio, completely eliminates the flank threat that would be on to Yeon. And then Summit was also going to solo kill DoubleLift, so DoubleLift, of course, has to fly in, but there's just more people there ready to kill him. So perfectly played fight by Team Liquid. Soul secured. I mean, I'm looking across the map. There's a turret dead, so it's not a perfect game, but it's pretty damn close.
It is pretty damn close. This is an incredible game here from TL. I would say this is like the cleanest game I've seen from them all split. I don't want to jinx it. Yep. We'll see if they can actually close it out cleanly, but great draft, great play. This is really solid stuff here from TL. Don't like what 100 Thieves brought to the table as far as their answers in draft.
Well,
it's just Someday with a nice...
Come on.
Trying to engage. Everybody else is up here. Someday's up in top side. Summit gets caught. Flashes back over the wall, but DoubleLift's ready for the flash follow to shut him down. So finally, 100 Thieves are on the board, but at what cost?
I mean, that's fine. That always happens. That's Summit.
Everybody gets one.
Yeah, two things are true of every Summit game. He's going to win lane by 20 CS, and that's going to happen as well.
He's going to die.
So we got that out of the way. The Team Liquid's still in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a really good spot. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal. He does die mid lane, but they get multiple towers, and there was a lot committed. If he just died for absolute free, but you had to use DoubleLift ult, you had to use Quid ult, you had to use Quid flash, and it is a kill, but a lot gained. They're now up 7K, plus the soul value there is thousands of additional gold. They are in a great spot.
So you guys have been praising Team Liquid for having a really good game compared to some of the issues that we've seen them have so far in the split. But I've got to be extra critical of 100 Thieves here. I'm going to be the guy going negative on this one because, again, their biggest criticism is they want to do nothing and scale. And I can't remember a single time they tried to do something proactive this game. And you can say it's because of the draft. So then I have to go back and ask, well, then what the hell was the plan with the draft? It just seems like this was so doomed from the start, and 100 Thieves were never making a decision.
I mean, I kind of agree with you, right? It feels like, you know, 400 Thieves to play that style where they want to go late game, you know, they're dependent upon Azir and they're dependent upon Tristana, right? One got banned, the other got taken away. And I think it really did limit their options. You know, even if DoubleLift having Kaisa is a fantastic pick for him, it does give him proactivity. It's one of those things that he can kind of take over a game on, and really, he's been the only consistent win condition for them. The problem is, I feel like the Tristana is maybe more important for their draft at the end of the day, because it feels like there's more things that can slot in for DoubleLift than there are for Quid. Because if you're going two threat with an Ahri who's playing Everfrost, you have got to absolutely trash this team in the early game, and Teal is so good in early game.
And your question of what the plan was, I actually don't even think this was the plan. I think they got countered in 4-5. Like, I think back to the draft, and Team Liquid banned both Viego and Lee Sin even when Rell was already locked in, because they knew, I think, that they wanted to run an aggressive AD jungler. Then they locked Taric, which blocked the Vi. So I think 100 Thieves just kind of ended up with this. And then the aggressive play they had, like their literally only win condition was accelerate DoubleLift. So they hit level 6 with Busio, they dove bottom, and it just didn't work. So the draft was bad, but the margins of play were so slim that they just didn't execute and they lost.
Pyosik going for the dive, leaves the charge with Dreadline as the tier 3 turret dies. Quid, half HP. Someday telling the same story here off to the side. Pyosik took a chunk, but that doesn't matter. Team Liquid going to claim their second inhibitor of the game here in mid. They've got the wave crashing into the tier 2 up in the top side now. DoubleLift lands a little bit of poke, but it's too little. It's too late. Team Liquid going to disengage this one. Another Void Seeker finds APA, but TL can just continue walking on out. They'll move off to the side. Elder Drake in 2.5 minutes. Baron in 2 with both of those super buffs spawning that quickly. I'm expecting Team Liquid to just clear out whatever they can here in the jungle, reset, get some wards ready, and get ready to close this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see people buying up stopwatches on their side. APA grabbed one, Yeon grabbed one. Core already has the lock completed, which I absolutely think is the play. Only possible way you could ever lose in this game is one of your carries gets 100-0. Locket helps buy time for your ulti to come down. So really kind of checking off all the boxes, making sure there's no way their opponents can come back. DoubleLift is just hard committed to this kind of poke style build. He's not even going Nash third, so it is Void Staff here. I don't honestly think that his build would have mattered this game that much. You know, I'm sure people probably are not the biggest fan of this build, but I don't honestly think that there's anything he could have built that would have changed how this game has looked.
Man, what if Team Liquid doesn't end though?
There's no way. This game is actually unlosable.
100 Thieves cannot play the game.
It's actually unlosable.
They cannot play the game. Fiora just completed Spear of Shojin. I think if you send 4 dudes who aren't named DoubleLift at Summit, he kills all 4 of them.
It would have to be so catastrophic for them to not be able to close out this game.
It would. I'm just like, I'm trying to add some tension. Like, it's taking longer than we expected. That leaves the door a little bit open, no?
No.
That door is bolted shut with titanium bolts. Team Liquid looking to chase after Closer and Someday here. They got the wave crashing into the final remaining tier 3 turret for the side 100 Thieves.
What if they just kill Summit right now and then they get Elder?
Even if they kill Summit, they're going to lose that fight 4v5 after. All the resources they would have to put into killing Summit, they will hard lose the fight
I'll give you this. If there's one thing that can turn a game like this, it is Elder. I'll give you that.
Okay.
So.
And it's up soon. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I do.
As does the audience at home. but you never know.
We still got some believers in there.
They got some believers.
I think 100 Thieves themselves probably stopped believing about 15 minutes ago.
I think that's probably true.
I think they're like, so guys, what are we drafting in game 3? Game 4?
Game 4 play. All right, Team Liquid, they're starting up the Baron, and they're starting it up with only 3 dudes. APA's got the damage to burn it down pretty rapidly. Summit's back in the enemy base, working on the Nexus turrets. Busio trying to go in. Cosmic Radiance coming down as 100 Thieves trying to make their last stand. Nobody's gonna die just yet. Team Liquid falling back. APA and Yeon both took a chunk, but Team Liquid took a Nexus turret. Summit's just putting the work in on this one, and Someday can't do a damn thing about it. The Ksante, no match for the 3-item Fiora, and Team Liquid is right back into the Baron pit. We're gonna repeat what you just saw. Let's do it again. Nexus under pressure as they send Quid back into the base now too, but it's gonna be a TP coming in from the side of Team Liquid to bring APA back into the fight now as Closer's ready to try to fight and challenge here for the Baron, but it ain't gonna work as Busio's taken down. Everybody's dropping. Summit's going in. He's gonna kill him 1v2. Quid flashing away from the repose. Summit finally dies to the damn turret. It don't matter. 100 Thieves is done for. Team Liquid's gonna end this one in 32 minutes.
Incredible game here from TL. Absolute domination in draft, in game. TL are gonna move it to match point here. They're up 2-1.
Tristana remains 100% win rate in this series. Ksante remains 0% win rate in this series. Team Liquid, LS tweeted it, you saw it at the bottom of the screen, the Draft Kingdom just ending up with an unplayable position for their opponents because of the way they block the jungles, because of the way the Taric then stops the buy. There was just no play for the Thieves to make, and it felt like once mid-game rolled around, and you guys said it, they weren't up 8,000 gold, well, checkmate.
And I also love the fact that they used APA's Cassiopeia.